What else you got from Portland?
Well, I don't want to say that much about it. The only other thing I have is that, we're one down. I don't know. I think it was like the 60th or 70th minute, somewhere in there. The substitution, Mikey Dobbs. Who do you want to bring on for Ibarra in that case? So you're bringing off a defensive midfielder.
Are we losing at this point?
Yeah, we're losing 1-0. Who are you going to bring on?
Ibarra is on the field, you're saying, and who we're going to bring on to? Well, you certainly would want Moreno, I think, if you're looking at pure attacking. And as a second choice, I would go Josetu. But
yeah, I would have said Moreno.
But Moreno is my first choice, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the guy.
You want to know who he brought on for Ibarra?
I think Amar Sedjic started that game, so I'm not sure that he came on, right? Or did he bring Amar Sedjic in?
He brought on Amar Sedjic. Yeah. That was the beginning of his run.
Okay, well.
But why do you bring in Amar Sedjic, who hasn't scored a goal all year, when you're down 1-0?
I have no idea. My feelings on Amar Sedjic. But I will say, at least, out of the picks, like, his better traits are at least going forward.
Yeah.
Doesn't play defense worth a lick.
Yeah, his defense is terrible.
Even had a good shot in that Philadelphia game, but doesn't get it done. Stats are stats, right? So yeah, why do you put him in?
I don't know, especially when you have the guy who is our leading scorer, right? And actually, I can jump to another note that
leading scorer and our most fouled player, who all of a sudden,
I was gonna say, he was a leading scorer certainly over the first third of the season.
Who all of a sudden just stopped getting playing time. I don't get it.
Yes, so this is
for Amar Sedjic. Crazy.
Yes. Just trying to find. Yeah. So,
like, unless there's something going on behind the scenes where Moreno is boink somebody's wife or something. Right. I don't know. Like, what's the reason? Because it's, again, the stubbornness from Pineda, the same way he's been stubborn to start Joseph Martinez. Like, he's got, give him credit. He's sticking to whatever is in his head, but it's not consistent up until the last,
last three games.
We'll
get to in a minute.
Which we'll get to, but it's the wrong formula.
I think this is perhaps, I'm going to go even further than you and say this is perhaps the greatest evidence of Pineda's incompetence, right? And I'm going to go with it. It has to be incompetence, right? Because during the early part of the season, there was only one player who was ever present, right? Who played every single game, right? And that was Moreno. He was the leading in minutes or whatever.
And Alan Franco, probably.
Yeah, and Pineda literally wouldn't sub him off the field, and he led the team in minutes by far. He was even above Alan Franco, right? And now in the final third of the season, Pineda literally won't put him on the field, period. Right? So what in the world, barring, what you just said, could have possibly justified such a wild swing in such a short period of time?
I don't know. You would have to think, right, he's seeing something at practice, right? And Pineda is so onto this, passion and da-da-da. And maybe there's something missing from Moreno from a practice standpoint. I don't know. Like, I'm just itching at what it could be.
But if something was missing in practice, how could he be playing every single minute over the first third? Like, it was there in practice and then it stopped? That's weird.
It's one thing, it's very weird.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing sometimes to go the opposite way. You're like, the guy's not doing it in practice and he's starting to play better. You give him a chance, he, succeeds and then whatever. But when you're playing him all the time and he's actually scoring, right, more than anybody else. We're not scoring a ton of goals, but more than anybody else. It seems like it's just wildly flailing about, right? And I feel like, we've talked about it a little bit, but if you quote unquote fix something, which some people think maybe Pineda has over the next 3 games, we'll get to those lineups, but you don't really know why or what it is that you fixed, right? Then it's not going to stay fixed for long, like he does, because. So I don't understand that, right? I don't understand when you're down 1-0, bringing on Sedjic, who hasn't scored a goal, and leaving Moreno on the bench, who has scored goals. And I don't understand how the guy is playing every minute in the first third of the season and can't get on the field at all.
I mean, the Moreno not starting and Amar Sedjic starting has literally made me mad. I've never gone after coaching like that whole thing is just made my head
spin. If you say, like, all right, let's say he's just sloughing off in practice, right? And he's just not doing well, and you're just like, and you think, or maybe you think Sedjic is doing so much better in practice or whatever. You still got to think, all right, so he's still part of your squad, right? And even if the guy's like that, you're like, look, dude, until you start playing whatever, I'm not putting you in the starting lineup. No way. That's your punishment, right? Yeah. But you're still going to, even in that case, you're still, if he can score a goal, you're still going to throw him on with 20 minutes left in the game and see if he can get a goal, right?
Yeah.
There's no reason not to do that. You're not sending the wrong message by doing that, because you're still sending the message. You're not starting him. You're like, I'm never going to start you until you play well.
I truly do not get it. Like, it's been one of my biggest pet peeves of the last, how many games has it been since even before the Portland game, though. Moreno was getting benched, though, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little bit before that. It's the last third of the season. He hasn't seen the field.
Yeah.
Period. And I'm like, what happened? And, it just speaks of a coach who doesn't really know what it is he wants, right?
It's pretty simple. Moreno is an extremely talented player. You have to put him in the top 5 of all the players in the field that have true skill set, right?
Sure.
There's parts of his game that can be frustrating, but particularly towards the end of the season when we started getting healthy again, you got Sosa back, and you've got the option to bring in Joseph on as a starter. You've got Almada and Araujo. Oh my goodness! Like, how do you not figure out a way to get that guy in the field as well? And I get it. Like, you don't want people clogging other people's spaces, but you started to see Pineda play Araujo out left on his natural left, and you could play Moreno out on his natural right. Again, that leaves Almada in the center. You're not playing Joseph up front, even though you should be. But even with those three, you got Araujo and Moreno as true forwards, and hopefully Joseph is a striker, and Almada coming in right behind them. Again, that's your mama.